Hey, happy Friday, everybody.
Or
It's
is it Thursday? May the 4th?
I'm still thinking Friday. I am thinking Friday.
You are doing so good. I'm also ready for Friday, so just saying, but it's May the 4th be with you day, is what it is.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Oh my gosh. What a way to start out a live broadcast.
It's
Huh?
perfect. You're human. Imagine that. Us too, so we feel ya. How about that?
Exactly.
Well, okay. Starting over. Happy Thursday, everybody. And welcome to another chamber check-in episode from your only five-star accredited chamber in the state of Idaho. And Kelly and Phil, I don't know if you know this, but we've been doing this series twice a week for 3+ years. And they've been really great ways to engage with our members, help share their origin stories, their products and services. And today we get to share your business. So I'm so excited about that.
Me
Um,
too.
Yeah. Great.
so we have Kelly Zimmerman, founder of 8th Street Studio, Cherished Images,
Yes.
and we have Phil White, also he's the business partner and everything else under the sun uh, for CSI Photo Design. And I'm so glad to have you here today to help share the story. You know, you've been members. We talked about this for a little bit
Mhm.
since 2012, so over a decade of investing in the chamber.
Yes.
And you were one of the first people I got to meet when I started with the chamber back in 2014. So we've had a long relationship.
Yes, and we love you, Paul. So thank you for all you do for the chamber and for us. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So these chamber check-ins are great ways to share our members' products and services and their origin stories. But most importantly, I love learning about the people. So why don't you help me share kind of your origin stories and your history of work that led you to becoming entrepreneurs and in the photography industry? So Kelly, why don't we start out with you?
Okay, absolutely. So I'm Kelly Zimmerman, and I have owned, well, a photography studio since 1999 is when I opened my first business. Also on 8th Street. It was in the 8th Street Marketplace right above Cafe Olay, and it was called Cherished Images. We still operate that brand. We just happened to move Cherished Images, and a subsequent brand that I opened up in mid 2000s under one roof about 7 years ago and created the 8th Street Studio. So Phil came on with me around that time, and for me, photography was just a natural thing to get into. As far as I can remember, I was itty bitty making stuff that I could sell. So I was kind of a born entrepreneur. And so I did jewelry, stained glass, pottery, painting, anything you can name it. And I just had to do that, and then I also wanted to sell it for whatever reason. So it was kind of an interesting trade, artist business and putting the two together. So when I was really young, I was like, yes, let's make this happen, and started with film. And it was like, okay, from there just sort of became known a little bit as the Ann Gettys of Boise, if you remember way back in the day, with the little itty bitty babies and dressed up, and sort of progressed from there.
I remember that, Kelly. Thanks for bringing us back a little bit. Now, Phil, what got you started in photography and tell us a little bit about your history of work?
Well, I've been in photography my whole career. I started as art major at Boise State University back in the 80s. We're talking long time ago. I had left Boise State University and got a degree through New York Institute of Photography. I really became very intrigued with the craft of photography. Still kind of have my art background, but photography is kind of where I decided to settle in. And so I worked a couple of jobs, advertising director for a farm machinery company. So I was out chasing farm implements out in these beet fields and near Nampa and things like that with an old Rolleiflex camera. And so the farm crisis caught up with me. I lost my job and started to try to build a portrait business, learning what I learned from New York Institute of Photography. So I started that, and I needed income. So I took a 28-year break and worked for Idaho Camera.
Oh,
So I started off as a salesperson. I did educational programs for them. In about 6 years, they decided to open a lab service. So they put me in charge of that. So I had an empty room with some large boxes full of equipment. So I had to figure all that out. 22 years of producing images for others, but I still really had the photography going on the side. Lots of portrait, lots of commercial photography over the years. It's never really went completely away. And in 2014, I got this, it was January 2014, I got a Facebook message. Kelly and I have been friends through our state association for, I don't know, probably about maybe 8 years or so.
It's a while, yeah.
We've been a while. Our spouses knew each other. We'd go have dinner together, stuff like that. And she goes, I'm looking to try to expand my business, and I think you're the right person. Can you come have lunch with me? And kind of everything changed. So by September of that year, I had walked away from 28 years at Idaho Camera into what felt to me like was the great unknown. She's got the entrepreneur background. I've always had,
I had to rope him in a bit. It was an interesting process. There's no doubt.
She wrote both me and my wife. My wife kind of is going, you need to do this. You've been waiting your whole life. And she went like this.
Oh, wow.
And so our spouses were very supportive. And long story short, came here, and what an incredible ride it's been. This has been totally cool. And so earned my master's degree in that same year and earned certification in photography. Yeah, you can do that in 2011. So I've been really active in associations and building credentials and things like that, even before I was a full-time photographer.
Wow. I love that story, Phil and Kelly, how you two combined your efforts to elevate your business. Because that's what happens, right? There's a need, and your relationships, and organically that partnership started. And I love that story. So thanks for sharing that with me today and the listeners. During this conversation, you talked about masters in photography and accreditation and credentials. And as I was going through your website, I noticed that not only are you expert photographers, but you're credentialed and you have degrees. And so it's the real deal. Tell me a little bit and share with the listeners why it's important for a studio like yours and studios across the country to be accredited. Why is that important?
Well, it's so huge right now because we're with the digital photography transition, which I lived through. Started out with film and kind of went straight into digital. It was a rough bumpy time, and it was kind of one of those things that it was like everyone was trying to figure out how to do this. And now with everybody carrying these phones around in their hands almost all the time, every day, everybody can be considered a photographer. And all you have to do to be considered a professional is just charge money for your services. It could be a quarter, it could be $3,000. Doesn't really matter. There's not a big differentiator, at least on a certifiable level, to be called a professional. So for us, it's really, really important. We both want to be better than the people we were the day before. Right. And so we've kind of committed and dedicated both ourselves and the studio for sure into learning more about the craft so that we can better suit our customers. So we're members of the State Association, which is Professional Photographers of Idaho, and also members of Professional Photographers of America. And we both have the degrees of Master Photographer through Professional Photographers of America, which is something you have to work for and earn, and you do it by competing in print competition, by educating others. I mean, there's just a lot of different ways that you can go on to kind of help earn this degree. And then the certification is just kind of saying, hey, by the way, we've taken this really extensive test that we've studied for and we've passed it, and it goes into all the detailed stuff that the average person, even if they have a digital camera with a DSLR and a lens, doesn't necessarily get into because they don't really have a reason. They like to use their PhD, which stands for auto press here dummy cameras, and go, hey, I take good pictures. And it's like, well, then it's great when all the scenario is perfect. But what happens when it's less than perfect? How do you still get good results? Because photography is basically just problem solving with lights. So it's one of those things that we have to take each individual that's in front of us, and it's our job to make them look good. We like to say, we make you look good. So whether it be in business or a luxury wall art for the family home that's used as decor, one of people's biggest concerns is, I don't want to get my picture taken because cameras don't like me. I break cameras. It's so bad. I'm going to look so fat. I'm going to hate it. And they're like, I don't want to do this because, and fill in the blank with a bunch of reasons, mostly coming down to insecurity. So what we've done is trained to know how to fix some of those problems, to put people at ease behind the camera. And so getting these degrees and these certifications ultimately is super important because it's a differentiator. It lets people know, hey, I'm not wasting my time, effort, energy, or money because I don't have to worry that I'm just going to be throwing a couple $100 out to somebody who's going to hand me a disc full of images and maybe I'll like them, maybe I won't. They're probably just going to sit in the drawer, but whatever. So that's the biggest difference for us. It helps us improve and improves the industry as a whole to give it credibility.
It really adds value, I think, to everything that we do. And I think it is, yes, we're probably more expensive than a lot of photographers, but why is that? We've earned our stripes. We study this. This is our career. We understand posing, we understand lighting, and we've done that through everything. What Kelly was just saying was, and it's extensive. I mean, it sounds easy, but it's really not. I defy most people to go try to pass that CPP test. It's rough. Okay. It's a rough test. So, we have earned our stripes. And so when people use us, we bring a lot of value to them because of that.
Okay. Well, thank you for helping me share the credibility piece, because I really think that's important to get out there. You've been in business for so many years and you've helped so many of your clients. 30,000 foot view of products. So maybe between the two of you, because there's the Cherished Images brand and then the CSI Photo Design brand, all at the 8th Street studio, which is a brick and mortar studio that you're sitting in right now on 8th Street.
Literal brick.
Real brick.
Inside and the outside. People love our brick. So to be able to say we're brick and mortar, it's like legitimately and really. And so, the 8th Street studio is an amazing place. We've got like these hand scraped wood floors that look like they came out of nowhere. Everyone who walks in is like, oh, the floors and the stories they tell. And it just goes so much into our personalities being storytellers. That's like huge. So just to kind of briefly give you the way that the brands work is, of course, Cherished Images, established 1999, children, families. As I grew, as my children grew, the clients evolved. They were starting to grow up and they were getting bigger. And it was like, whoa, wait a second. And I was plugging in different places as a mom. And so we eventually started a brand called CSI Photo Design, which just stands for Commercial and Senior Images. It was nothing more than the grown-up version of Cherished Images, but with a different look and feel to cater to a different clientele. So we still run that. That was the studio that was on 6th Street, 6th and Main for quite a while. Okay. And ultimately, we've broken it down to CSI Photo Design serves businesses, business headshots, branding image, personal branding, which I love, 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 commercial product shots, which Bill's really great at lighting shiny objects. One of the hardest things to photograph, but he's really great at that. And so that's kind of all. CSI Photo Design is mostly all business, and Cherished Images is mostly children, families, and specialty portraits, resulting in finished products. And we've got white glove finishing services, which is big for us as well, because that's something that we know that there's a lot of other photographers or just people taking vacation photos and things like that, ending up with thousands of files. If you're like me, I've got like 30,000 files on my phone and I love them all. What the heck do you do with them? Digital overload. I mean, our email boxes are full. We don't know what to do. We're putting them in the cloud someplace. Who the heck knows where the cloud is? Right. And now all of a sudden it's like, here. So we offer a service where we can actually help people walk through that process so that all these important pictures and images that they take can end up as tangible products that they can touch, hold, and feel. So it's just kind of another level of the service, because we aim to be a true full service finished product studio. And that's kind of how all those play together. But different people need different things. And we definitely know and understand that.
I also want to add to that too, is that we have a very unique look and style. That is one of the things I think we both share, is we don't really follow trends. We have a unique look and style that I think resonates with some people. And so, and some unique skill sets, and yes, I can like shiny things, take business portraits, all this stuff. You're really looking at Boise's, I feel, one of Boise's very best child photographers, because she's been doing it for so long. And I have seen her work with some of the most difficult situations, and even special needs children that, I just have to kind of stand back and hold on to lights and do things like that, because, she's got that skill set with children and kids with special needs that it's hard. It's a very, very great quality to have.
Well, and you're dealing with the parents of those kids too.
So
yeah.
Can't teach experience. And and husbands can be hard too, by the way. You're one of those, aren't you? I think I see it in your face, Paul. I totally see it.
Busted.
Does a mom have to drag you? You will take family photos or else.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Hey,
Change the subject.
I just told on you. Sorry, Paul. My bad.
I want to brag on you a little bit as winner of the Idaho Photographer of the Year in 2023, Kelly Zimmerman. Congratulations. Whoop, whoop.
Woo!
And obviously you talked about your Master of Photography degree, both y'all. And then you do these Santa events every year. So make sure people understand that. But we only have a few more minutes left here, and I don't want to take a lot of your time, but I do want to talk a little bit about how print is not dead. And I want, you had mentioned this a little bit about, hey, we've all have all these digital images, and what do we do with them? And I didn't know that about what your company offers, where you can go through some of your digital photos and bring them to life and put them on the wall, because those are the things you see all the time. People do scroll through their phones and look at photos, but I really love the fact that you still are a believer in print. And I think that's important. And tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah.
I am a passionate believer in the print. I was working in the lab industry at the time the whole world shifted from film to digital. So my experience was very different, but it changed dramatically. And I think my feeling about print goes back to a stack of images I found in my great-grandmother's steamer trunk. My great-grandmother had passed away 10 years ago. My aunt had the steamer trunk sitting on her porch. And we pulled this out, and we were looking through pictures, and she had wrote who they were on the back. So all of these people we had stories about. Now we have a face to go with the story. And they're my most valuable possessions, because most of these, I've got a Civil War era image of a great-great-grandfather. I know what their family looked like. I saw all of her brothers and my great-grandmother's brothers and sisters, all the people who were important. And, in a digital realm, that's very difficult to pass down, because number one, digital is probably the most fragile way to store an image.
Oh.
So many things can happen to it. But with the print has prominence. It has lived in the hands of so many people who have loved that image and loved having it. And there's just this history and legacy. And that happens when we do this, when we take a family portrait, we realize that we're creating an heirloom that people are going to cherish for a really long time.
And for me, mine is a little bit different. So as much as I love everything that Phil has just said, because I agree 100%, knowing that our ancestors and people that kind of brought us into this world is huge. But at the end of a long day, when you're like, oh my gosh, I wish it was Friday and not Thursday, by the way, and you get home and you go, oh crud, why am I doing this? And then all of a sudden you look up on your wall and you see the faces of all of those that you absolutely love the most. And you look back and you go, yeah, this week was really hard. Stuff happens, life happens, but now I know my why. And those faces that you see that are there, not just for now, but for always, make your heart just go, okay,
Yeah.
this is it. I can breathe again.
Yeah.
And
These ones right here. Yep. Printed.
yes,
Mhm.
Yep.
that's huge, right? Doesn't it remind you of your why? So our why,
Yeah.
embracing the joy, the journey, and the legacy is so important in all of that.
So Kelly and Phil, I have your website scrolling on the bottom of the screen. For those that are listening, and you want to schedule time with the 8th Street Studio, go to the website. There's a way to contact them. You can email Kelly and Phil through their website as well. Thank you so much for taking a little time with me today to help share the 8th Street Studio story with me. Thank you for the continued investment in the community through the nonprofits that you support,
Yes.
the images that you capture, and the investment you make with the chamber. It means a lot to me.
No, thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you, Paul. We enjoyed your smiley face. We love kind people. We love to meet people with personality, and we love to bring all that. So love to see anybody else out there who's looking for exactly that. So thank you all.
Absolutely. Hey, you guys have a great weekend. Thanks a lot for your time.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.